Whatever else we might say about John the Baptist, he did have a way with words. A master of the pithy insult, he strode in from his wilderness retreat, determined to take on the world. And so when people came to be baptized by them, he called them a brood of vipers, rather like Shakespeare, whose created insults inspire awe to this day. No one threw an insult better than the bard, as in, "Thou art a churlish, clay-brained cock-pole, and thou art a mangled, mumbling maggot pie." Perhaps he took his cue from John the Baptist. So here's John, come to baptize all these desperate people fleeing from the wrath to come. But first he gives them a lesson in humility. Don't say you're children of Abraham, he says. God can make children out of these stones. To which people reply, "What then shall we do?" It's a contemporary question as old as the hills. For while they lived under threat of Rome, we live under a threat ourselves, with a grim cloud of worry and fear hanging over that happy time of year we so look forward to. We've only to watch the evening news to know that fear operates in much of the world, and sometimes in our own communities. That for all the peace on earth we are supposed to be living, there seems to be no peace anywhere, really. And yet the lessons this morning might lull us into a false sense of peace, at least until we get to John. But Zephaniah talks of rejoicing. The Lord your God is in your midst. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will renew you with his love. He will exult over you with loud singing. And Isaiah, cry aloud, inhabitants of Zion, ring out your joy, for the great one in the midst of you is the Holy One of Israel. And you didn't hear it, but the letter to the Philippians, rejoice in the Lord always. The Lord is near. Do not worry about anything. All this rejoicing fits perfectly with the pink candle, with the season, with our hopes and dreams. We could feel very good about these verses. We could be hopeful even, if John the Baptist did not then stride in, raining on our Advent parade, telling us how awful it really is. What then should we do, the people said. And we would ask it too. What then should we do? And John has an answer, perhaps the only answer for times like these. Share what you have. Don't take what isn't yours. Be content with what you have been given. Simple. Maybe a little too simple. Because even our smaller personal worlds have their fear and terror. The diagnosis we didn't want to hear, the job we didn't want to lose, the grandchild we didn't want to be sick, the friend we didn't want to die. When the problems of the world seem cosmic in their dimensions, it is too much, grief upon grief. And here we are heading for Christmas on the Pink Candle Sunday, supposed to be all about joy, and John the Baptist comes along with 3 simple bits of advice. Share what you have. Don't take what isn't yours. Be content with what you have been given. It isn't enough, is it? It isn't enough to fix what's wrong, to rescue all the hurting people, to fend off all the fear. Except that it just may be. Because the examples John gives are not generic, impersonal things we should do. John is specific, personal, and individual in his message. Share what you have. If you have 2 coats, give one away. And he doesn't mean drop it off at the Goodwill. No, if you have 2 coats, go find someone without a coat and give them one of yours. Walk through the squares downtown. Meet someone who is homeless. Show them what being baptized looks like. And for goodness sake, take all those Christmas cookies to the nurses working Christmas Eve in the nursing home. Collect no more than the amount prescribed for you, John says. In other words, don't take what isn't yours. So we do that. We don't take what isn't ours. But is that parking space at the mall ours? That place in line at the grocery store? Our usual pew in the church? Even more, have we taken someone's joy with our complaining? Have we stolen someone's sense of security with our anger? Have we claimed someone's time and energy without a thought about what it costs them? What if we were to live our lives constantly aware that it is all God's and none of it is rightfully ours? Be satisfied with your wages, John said. In other words, be content with what you have. Have you a safe place to sleep at night? Rejoice. Are you free from worry about where your next meal will come from? Rejoice. Have you someone to love? Does someone love you? Rejoice. And then get out there and share all that rejoicing. We might take the money we would spend on that new thing we think we want and spend it instead on a perfect stranger in the aisle at Kmart. We might forgo our traditional dinner altogether and serve dinner at the Union Mission for Christmas. Because we have cause for rejoicing no matter what the world looks like. Because we know a Savior who has overcome the world. Share what you have. Don't take what isn't yours. Be content with what you have been given. This isn't a general prescription for living. This is the specific word of life for people who walk in great darkness. A word of life for people who claim to be children of God. A word of life for people who bear the baptismal mark on their forehead. That mark that says the sign of the cross is not a free pass to heaven, but a license to practice here on earth. Now, none of these things will fix what is wrong in Afghanistan or China or Haiti. But perhaps it will begin to fix what is wrong with us in our corner of the world, in our town, in our one community. Share what you have. Don't take what isn't yours. Be content with what you have been given. These are the things that bear witness to the Christ that we follow. These are the things that bring real rejoicing on earth and in heaven.